Let me start that again. Welcome to the Storytelling for Career Growth workshop. It's great to see you all. And I want to just start by saying thank you for you guys for showing up today. It is your time is the most valuable resource, and I would do everything in my power to make it worth your time here today. And yeah, I just want to start. Who here has taken an online course on career development before today? Let me know if you put up your hand. No?
What sort of online course?
Any type of online course. I think people may be a bit shy.
I've done a few of them. I think.
You have?
Relating to medicine, I think the company provide all this the training, and also the college I've been also provide as well. The Australian and New Zealand occupational medicine college as well.
Yeah. I'm sure we do a lot of online training. I think I was talking more about. I guess I should clarify about improving your career skills. Maybe they're not transferable skills. But I'm just going to take a stab in saying this is probably not the first time you have done something. Maybe you may not recognize it as a course. There are a lot of information out there online. You might have attended training, watched videos, or read articles to advance your career skills. And if you haven't, been able to make progress as much as you like, I understand. There's so much information out there. Sometimes it's hard to know what to do. It's easy to get overwhelmed, isn't it? To know what's the next step to take. So what I wanted to let you know is that it is okay, whatever you have done, if you're not where you want to be. Nothing's ever wasted. We are all on this learning journey. Everything that you learn is become a little building blocks that you can take with you to help you to get to the next area of growth. Whether you use it straight away or you don't, in my experience, has always been nothing ever gets wasted. So, and I want to let you know that right now you are exactly where you need to be. And over the next sort of hour or so, I'm going to share with you why being good at telling stories, especially your stories, is the most important thing that you can do to help you go towards your career goals, your business goals, and ultimately your life goals. Whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for a better one, whether you are looking to start a business or a side venture, this is the right place for you. And as you will find out, anybody who has ever succeeded in achieving a goal, whether they realize it or not, it all starts off with having a good story to tell. I know in in the career management field, a lot of people focuses a lot on your CVs, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, the job interviews. I mean, all of those things are very important. But if you look closer, if you look a little bit closer, before you do any of those things, it all starts with having a clear, compelling story to tell. A story about yourself. And all of those things, your CV, job applications, LinkedIn profile, interviews, they're just vehicles for you to tell your story. And if you don't have that story worked out, clear, what is it that you want, it's not going to serve you very well. Does it make sense? If it makes sense, can you please type? I like to make these workshops as interactive as possible. So let's just do a bit of a practice. If that makes sense, can you type yes in the chat box?
There's a chat box.
Yeah.
Oh, the chat box.
Chat box. Yes, we should learn how to. If you go on the bottom tab, there should be a tab. Yes. Can we see everybody? Yes, from Cindy. Yes, 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 from Alex. Yes, we can all do this. Cool. So all of those things we talked about, the CVs, the cover letters, the LinkedIn profiles, the job interviews, they're just vehicle for us to tell our story. So that's why this workshop is very important. By the end of this workshop, I want you to be able to appreciate how important having your stories worked out is in terms of getting your career, business, and life goals. And secondly, know what a good story looks like, and being able to craft the stories that are authentically yours, and then of course to be able to deliver in a way that will engage and captivate people, so that you can take them on your journey, whether the goal is to get a job, whether it is to land a business deal, get a new customer, you take them on the journey with you. So to get the most out of this workshop, you don't want this workshop to be just another thing you listen to and then you do nothing with it, right? That would be I would be very sad if that happens. I believe I've got a lot of good information to share with you today, and so if you haven't already done so, get a pen and paper out, write some notes as I talk, and even if you just
sorry, we went
yeah.
to cover from the meeting because we use my laptop because my phone is not very good. It's going out battery. Yep.
That's all right, Alex. Just come on in when you're ready.
Yep.
Yeah. So grab a pen and paper, or if you prefer, open up a Google Doc and write notes as we go. And turn on your cameras if you can. And as I said, interact with me as we go. Right, Alex Tong, come on back. So I am a job search and career transition coach. And in the last year, I have helped 6 people to find their first jobs in Australia and New Zealand. And it's a very fulfilling job, and I enjoy it very much. Also, I work full-time as a senior project engineer for BMD, which is a large construction company in Australia. And unlike most career coaches, I have to practice what I teach every day, because I work in a project, and by definition, projects are temporary. And no matter how good I do in a project, it all comes to an end. And at the end, I have to look for my next gig. So I have had a lot of practice in this. I have over 20 years in the corporate sector, but also while I was working for each organizations, I had lots of mini career transitions, going from one project to the other. And one of the common struggles I find working with job seekers, and certainly myself as well, and especially those of us who work in technical roles, we're not very good at telling stories, are we? And it's understandable, because we get rewarded for being for our technical skills, to be able to communicate instructions clearly, to sort of specifications. You use a lot of logic and data, and you state facts as plain as you can. If you embellish things, things you don't really gain anything, and people may criticize you for being dramatic, right? Unfortunately, stories depend on you to be dramatic, and by not using these, using the full range of skills in storytelling, we are leaving a lot of value on the table, because stories enable us to fully connect with the person we're talking to, our target audience, whether it's a recruiter, hiring manager, your boss, a potential client, your boss's boss. Being able to connect with people is so important, and it can be the difference between someone saying yes to you or passing over you and choosing somebody else. Okay, so I want to tell you a story, very fitting for a storytelling workshop. I want to bring you back to when I first came out of university. I'll just share a little thing, have a little laugh. So this is a photo of me. It was actually the just straight after we did our final year project presentation. I just graduated, and I came out of university pretty idealistic. I was fully involved in the student life. I joined a organization called ISEC, which is a student leadership development organization, and I had a really good time. And I was ready to hit the world to get my first job. I really picked up on one of the advice that was given to me at the start of my uni, is that we need to really develop your communication skills. So I really went all out on that. Now, I didn't really have trouble talking to people, but nobody actually taught me how to look for a job. Nobody taught me how to do job interviews. And even though I managed to get over, I would say about over 30 interviews in my final year, I didn't really get a job offer. I still remember the first job interview I went to. It was with a large engineering consultant in New Zealand called Becca, and I really had no idea what I was doing. And when the interviewer, it was a panel, I think it was 3 people, and they asked me, so what is it that you actually like to do in your first job? And I haven't actually thought about that, and I just blurted out project management. And so what do you want to do? Project management, because I like working with people and I like bringing everything together. So it was very short answers to what they want, and that is probably at least one of the things that I did wrong. I didn't really think about what the employers were looking for even, and needless to say, that interview was very awkward, and I didn't get a response back from them. And so I went through that whole year without getting a job offer. That led me to going overseas, but there's a story for another time. But now I want to bring you back to bring it probably about 5 years ago. No, be 7 years ago now. I was working for Origin Energy, and it was one of the companies that I really wanted to work for. It was exciting. We were doing part of the 60 billion LNG industry in Queensland, and I thought that after 5 years and being involved in some nice projects, that I would have a job that would take me to my retirement. I was given a rude awakening when I got my was asked I got my redundancy letter. But what was good about that was I was given a career transition consultant to work with me, to help me move to my next job. And because I've worked 5 years continuously, I've never had to look for a job. And one of the things that that really stop this now, that really stood out to me was how much the world has changed, or in terms of technology. There was LinkedIn, and I didn't even really have a LinkedIn profile. And also maybe some things that haven't changed. I haven't really learned that much in how to get a job. And I remember sitting, with the career advice consultant. We also attended some sessions. It's like, wow, this is such awesome information. And I really digested everything I learned about researching the companies, researching the industries, and actually reaching out to people to find out more about the industry and the work that they do, in something called informational interviews, not just call people up and ask them for a job. I learned about how to do job interviews and to prepare, and I was like, why? I just remember, why don't people teach you these things in university? And I remember getting a thought, which may be a seed that has led me to this point, is I really would like to help people with this. But anyway, I implemented what the consultant taught me, and I was able to find a job. Got redeployed within Origin, within 4 weeks, just by going and just talking to people and applying the skills that I learned. So that was the first time that I really upskill myself in job search. And again, when I got made redundant later in 2020 from Stedman, I was lucky enough to be assigned a career coach, and MJ was her name, and she dealt with a lot of people across the industry who was being made redundant at that time. She taught, she was really, really good, and one of the things she told me was, you really need to sell yourself, and I sort of knew it before, unconsciously, but I just went through the motions, and I never really gone through and really think about how to sell myself. So I did that, and I learned, and I applied what she taught me, and I was actually able to, because I was networking already before, I was able to find a job within 2 weeks from being made redundant. So I've been through it before, and I will share a little bit about how I did some of those things a little bit later. And even though I was successful at job interviews, I really didn't appreciate the value of storytelling. For me, I'm a project guy, engineering guy. It's all about what do I need to do? What is the hack? What is the step-by-step instruction? What is the what are the things that I need to do? It wasn't until later that year, I also I got interested in starting an online business, and I started doing a lot of training. And one of the things that rekindled was this idea of career coaching. And I went through the process of creating a training course for people, and it was very simple one, is to put everything that I learned in about career transition into a 6-week course, step by step. And it was doing the selling as I normally sell things, and it wasn't until I told a story, right? And some of you might have been there. No, I think maybe only one of you might have been there, so that's all right. I can say I told a story. I told a story about why I so passionate about helping people with job search and career transition. Yeah. Now thinking that this is that I'm trying to sell a course, and I showed this picture. Now this picture is it's my family. So my wife's Amy, my son Bodhi to the left, and Evie to the right. And we were at this is Whitehaven Beach in the Whitsundays, and it was really a beautiful place. We went there because I was doing a fly in fly out job up to Bowen, the job that I got with BMD, which got 2 weeks after I got made redundant from the previous place. So while I was able to take care of the financial obligations to my family, in getting a job and being able to navigate through the pandemic, what this photo doesn't show was just a week before them coming up to for our holiday. I got a call from Amy, and Amy was in a very very distressed, and she's just said, she still tried to calm me down, but she said, I just want you to know I just made a call to Lifeline, and I just don't know what's happening, but I just really can't take it, and I just needed to slow down. And I really got the shock of my life, and here I was. I thought I was doing my duty to for my family, and even organize a holiday for us, but I missed signs that she was struggling, and she couldn't handle it. And that was when I realized I really needed to change. I really needed to make some changes to my work arrangement, namely this fly in fly out arrangement. Even though the money was good, it was taking a toll on my family, and I did that, and I realized I had the skills to be able to do that, and this is the reason why I want to help people with job search and career transition, because it gives people options. I went up to the fly in fly out job because I thought, well, this is what I done in the past. This is what I'm trained for. This is how I can add value. This is how I can, be the most used to society as an engineer. And what I didn't ask was, what is it that I really want? By choosing this, what is the cost on my health, my family, relationships? So thankfully to say, after that episode, Amy recognized she got to the sort of rock bottom, and we made changes in our personal lives. I didn't leave the FIFO job till the project was finished in February or March the following year, but I certainly kept a lot closer tabs on Amy, and good to say that she really has bounced back from that rock bottom, and has since quit she was doing journalism freelancing, and she's moved to a creative projects. So she's actually writing her 2 plays and participating in a theatre internship. So now, when I told that story as part of my presentation to why people should work with me, I could see people shift. They understood why I was doing it. They saw that I care, and I felt that genuine connection with the people I was talking to, and they signed up to work with me. So it was really that moment I realized that storytelling matters. and storytelling, especially your story, is the most important. So that being said, we can. This is why I've waited a long time to I've been wanting to do this workshop for a while, so that's why I'm very happy to be here today with you guys. So here's what we're going to cover. I already said that literally before. Some story selling secrets of what I've learned. So the first thing is I want to look into what makes a good story, great. I think everybody loves a story, but what is it that makes it truly great and make people stop and want to listen? So I'll do a bit of a deconstruction of a good story. And the second thing is I want to look into how you can come up with great stories that are your story. In this workshop, we're not talking about other people's stories. Not telling you to write fiction, which is what Amy does, but that's not what we're doing here today. How we can come up with your stories that make it great. And finally, how do you take that story and engage and captivate an audience? And as I said before, take them on a journey with you and get them to take action with whatever you want them to do. Okay, so just those three things. So I want to ask you guys, who likes a good story? Yeah, I know we all like a good story. Let me know in the chat, what is a good story that you are obsessed with about right now? Is it a TV show? Is it a movie? Is it a book? Let me know in the chat. What is it that you are watching right now? Maybe on Netflix. Drama series, Alex. What drama series? Sitcoms. Let's be specific. Sandman, very good. That looked pretty good. It popped up on my Netflix recommendation. Ancient Chinese Legends. Audiobook. Well, I can tell you, I have been obsessed about. I've been a Game of Thrones fan for a long time. I only started watching when it's season 3, but a friend of mine sat down and he actually talked me through. He was also a fan. He talked me through everything, all the different characters and what happened. This happened, that happened, and as you know, it's like a dynasty. And I was hooked. And every year Game of Thrones comes on, I would get my subscription to Foxtel for that 2 months. And when the House of Dragons, which is the prequel to Game of Thrones, came on, and yes, I was obsessing, looking at the trailers. I was looking at reading up on the wikis again, and then of course when it started 3 weeks ago, not Foxtel, I got Binge. It's a little bit cheaper. I got my Binge account just to watch House of Dragons. So that's amazing, isn't it? Who would like to tell a story that could get that type of engagement and excitement from people, right? Just reading here, something that people read: ancient Chinese legends, historical about the Basque County. Okay, the tattooers of Auschwitz. But then, if I ask, who would like to hear what I do in my day job, in my engineering project? Who would like to do that? Who would like to listen? Oh, just Natalia, you're geeking. Yeah. Look, when I love Amy, but one of the things that that really frustrates me is when I try to talk to her and I try to tell her about what I do at work. Now, for me, it's interesting. You know, we get to design things, we get to build things, we get to manage people, but no, nothing. Every time I start talking, you know, it was like eyes would just glaze over, and she looks for any excuse to walk away. And then the same thing happens, you know, when I talk to my parents as well. You know, I remember sitting down one time a few years in one of the old houses. I remember this one time telling them about what we do at Origin, the gas plants, how gas works, how we maintain the compressors, the machines, and all that. The same thing. The guys glazed over, and they just don't want to know. They just yawn, and I will get annoyed because it's like hey, I spend a lot of time at work, and you know, I provide for the family, and my parents as well. It's like, oh, you know, you spend all this investment to put us through university, and now I've got a really good job. You just don't want to know about, you know, what you know, the results and what has happened. I couldn't get it, and you know, I really want to have a good relationship, and you know, I want to feel good about my job, and people not wanting to hear about my job, you know, it's just yeah, it just doesn't make me want to love my job. One of the turning points was when Amy then, you know, sort of turned to me one time. Is like, you know, you are really boring to listen to. You speak in that, you know, sort of monotone voice. You know, can't you just put some, you know, expression into your voice? And yeah, and yeah, I was a little bit offended. But upon reflection, I can see why that is so. My job as an engineer has trained me to, you know, make sure I get the facts right. Any sort of, when you get some of the things wrong, you know, things can blow up and people can die, and also things are very technical. You know, you got to have these technical words to describe different things, and I realized that you know, I probably, because I was focusing on trying to get things right, I probably you know, other people at work was also trying to get the facts right. We just sort of a bit lazy with actually talking with expression, and I don't know, maybe we secretly don't actually love our job that much, so we don't get too excited talking about it. So anyway, that got me thinking, and I resolved to you know, get better at storytelling. And when I talking to Amy, you know, it's a totally different, you know, different league. She's a storyteller professionally, and you know, I'm an engineer, but I try to do, you know, tell stories in a more interesting way, and you know, here we are, you know, and that's the reason for the storytelling workshop. And I also realized, you know, watching you know, the leaders at work talk, especially, you know, when you have these town hall meetings, or stand-up meetings, you know, there are some the good leaders, you know, they talk in a way to engage people. There are some people who just, you know, put you to sleep, and I realized, you know, to get to the next level of success, whether it's in your job or business, or even in life, you know, we need to be able to tell better stories. Who likes to get to the next level of success? Right. We all do, right? So what did I do? I do what I do best. I sort of geek out on the topic. You know, I turned to Google. Google knows everything. I looked at articles, books, videos, and online courses, and I also did something that what everyone who achieves success do. I pulled out my wallet and I bought some of these courses, and to really learn from the best. Some of these people who do storytelling as a career, they spend all their time doing this and perfecting their craft, and they also spend a lot of time writing a book. So and put together a course. So pulling out some money and just investing, it really is investing. You are shortcutting the time that you need to learn, and that's what I do when I try to learn new things. So instead of trying to come up with the what makes a good story, I thought we'll have a look at somebody who is one of the best in storytelling. So I'm going to play a video, and I want you guys to get ready with a pen and paper. I want you to consciously look for what's good about this story. Okay. Just let me get this one ready. So get your pens and paper ready, or Google your Google Docs. I will bring this up. Okay, I will bring this to a share screen. And I'm sure you guys have seen this speech before. It's Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech, 2005, where he tells 3 stories from his life. We're just going to look at the first story. It's only going to take 3 minutes. I want you to just listen and make note of the things he's doing that you think that is good, and that will make a good ingredient of a good story. Okay. Can everybody see this screen? Yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just going to listen to the first story. Here we go.
I'm honored to be with you today for your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduate. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why'd I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when I popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. But I naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. and all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. And here I was, spending all of the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. I loved it. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. Because I had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes, I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. If I had never dropped out, I would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference.
Okay. It's an awesome story, isn't it? It's a story. Every time I listen to it, always brings me to tears. And it really, really resonates. So let's see, you guys. What did you guys like about it? What did you like about the story? What do you think made the story good? You can leave it in the chat, or you can just quickly go unmute and just let me know. What did you like about that story that we can learn?
Context.
Context? Tell me more. What about context?
The sense that he said, I'm going to give you 3 stories of my life. So he prepared the audience that, he's going to go into a little bit of story, and then how it's about connecting the dots. So he gave them that this story is going to be about connecting the dots.
Yep. Vu says is relatable. Natalia, dramatic start. Yes. What else? What else did you guys like?
I think from my perspective, it's very much his story. So you're not trying to sort of
Yes.
convince people on facts.
Yep.
It's his story and no one can dispute that. So potentially that may actually captivate the audience because it is a story of his life.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, Garrett, haven't seen you for a long time.
I've been hiding. Good to
see familiar faces now, huh?
Yeah, good to see you.
Engaging is targeting the audience. Drama, there's a twist. Story is short. Yeah, it's short and it has a good ending. Okay, thank you for that. So here's what I think from looking at that story and also from the research that I've done. Here's what I've got. The first one is it is authentic. Okay, so Gareth said it's personal. So he's speaking from an experience that it is his story. He's not making things up. He's not the feelings and the emotions are real, and it's also special to him. Number two, God, it has characters, isn't it? It talks about the different people in his life. It was himself. It was his parents. It was his birth mother, adopted parents, and they talked about the relationship between the people, all of them. So, but there's a goal about going to college, about finding out what he wants. There's conflict, right? No story is great without conflict, or you can say it's drama. And the conflict in this case was dropping out of college. I'll just go quickly through this and we'll come back and do it a bit deeper. He gave background, he just didn't say, oh, I just dropped out of college. He said he was dropped out, abandoned, he was adopted at birth, and how it links to all the information that builds up who he is, why it's important, was provided. He talked about a consequence, if what is at stake in this conflict. If you dropped out of college, all the investments that the parents have made all goes to nothing. So he thought. There's a theme, right? A great story takes you into a scene of his life. I just thought it was beautiful, wasn't it? He just dropped out of college so I can drop into the class that I want, and I learned about typography and fonts. There was certainly action. What did he do in that scene? What was the hard decisions he had to make? He talked about the outcome, and definitely about the lessons. And the lesson is pretty clear. It's hard to connect the dots looking backwards. You can looking forwards, but looking backwards you can, and gives you the courage to pursue your dream. So that, for me, these 10 things, it's a key ingredients of a great story. And here's the thing, once you know this, you can incorporate elements of this into your stories, and your stories will become powerful. It will help you to stand out from the crowd. It'll help you to connect with people who matters, the people you're personally talking to, or hiring managers, or potential customers, and get their attention to help you get to where, help get them on board with your journey to get to where you want to go, right? And the stories you can tell, this graduation speech is a formal speech is just one vehicle. You can tell your stories when you meet new people, telephone calls, job interviews, at networking events, presentation negotiations. You could make a video, or when you on LinkedIn, you want to people to connect with people. So these stories I heard the word before about context. I was thinking context is you have to tell the right stories in different contexts. So yes, so that is a good story, and we'll in the next section we'll dive into how you can do this. We'll go into how you can incorporate this into your stories. But I know what you're thinking. You may say, okay, telling stories is good, and that's great for someone like Steve Jobs, right? He's famous, and he's very skilled at public speaking. It's great for you, Wei. You can talk really good, but I'm different. I'm shy. I'm not confident. Right? I don't have any stories. My stories are boring. Who's having some of those thoughts in their head right now? Yeah, I'm sure all of us at some point would have thought that. Right? Who am I to get up and tell my story? And I want to tell you a story, another one about myself. When this one is about networking event. When I got made, when I finally left Origin in 2017, I got a payout, and pretty good payout since I worked over 7 years, and I decided to use this time to just to experiment and figure out what I want to do in the next part of my life, and I've done some reading, and I really fell in love with the whole tech startup sector. I want to work for the next Apple. That was coming up in Brisbane, and I got involved with the Brisbane AI meetup community, and so it's pretty similar to all the meetups. People organize an event, you show up, and people get together, talk about interesting things. And of course, this is like a networking thing. And although I was very passionate and interested about AI, I wasn't a computer science tech guy. So, and I remember I feel really inadequate turning up to these Brisbane AI meetup events. I felt I didn't have the skills, and I don't have the and I just was there trying to take knowledge from people, and so I was pretty awkward. You're turning up to this these networking event. It was at the River City Labs in Fortitude Valley. Very nice buildings, and all of these people with their startup ideas, and yeah, I really felt really out of place, and I also felt nervous because I only have the payout was only a certain amount of money, and I can't keep hanging around doing these things forever. So I gave myself a year to make something happen. I was going to go back to my job. But not being able to contribute was actually a story that I told myself. I eventually I got enough courage to just to approach the organizers, Yuxi and Natalie, and I started telling my story and why I was there. Up here, I'm probably a bit older than most of the guys there in the startup world. I was from a very old traditional oil and gas industry, and I started sharing why did I want to get involved, and why I think AI, why I'm so interested in AI. And one of the things I was really interested in about AI was the potential impact it will going to have on on the population, where automation is going to take away jobs, and you're going to have mass unemployment and create this class of useless people. I was really concerned about that, and I could see that happening could happen in the oil and gas industry, in the coal industry with climate change. So I wanted to really understand AI and been able to be able to make a difference. So as soon as I started doing that, people understood where I was coming from. I had a topic of conversation, and I got involved in doing volunteering from event management, and I was able to steal some of Amy's video and audio equipment she used for her freelance work, and I started recording videos for the Brisbane meetup. I was able to add value, and as a result, I became part of the volunteer team, and I was able to, as part of the organizing, I was able to meet the people who was in Brisbane, and also the speakers that was coming. So what I learned is, first of all, I told a different story internally, and secondly, I started to share my story with the people around me, and that has made all the difference, and it opened up a lot of new opportunities for me. And here's what I found out. And the reality is, we are in life right now where we are, regardless of whether it's good or bad, whether you like the situation or you don't like the situation, everything that has brought you here is in the past, and you can't change the past. What you can do is change and take action and change the course moving forward. But the good thing is, every experience that you have, and every encounter, good or bad, every decision you made, good or bad, everything that has happened to you are the key ingredients to you telling your story. Your story is unique to you, and nobody would have experienced the same thing as you, would have made the same choices as you, and walked the same path as you. Nobody have the same, the desires and visions of what you want to do in the future. At the same time, therefore, nobody's going to tell your story. Right? Nobody's going to tell your story. You have to tell your own story, and you're the best person to tell your story. So if you want things to change in your work, career, or life, you have to make the first move, and you have to understand what is your story. And this is what I want to do in the next session here. What are your stories? How can you tell what stories to tell? There's actually no shortcut to this. You really have to spend the time to sit down and reflect and look backwards. But I thought we'll just dedicate a little bit of time to help you guys to do this if you haven't done that already. So just share the screen here. We're just going to do a little bit of brainstorming about what stories you can tell. Okay, there's no science to this. I'm just creating the space for you guys to do it. So think of the most recent organization you have worked for. So if you're currently working, your current company, if you're currently looking for a job, what was the last company you worked for? Okay. So let's get out your pen and paper and just get things written down, and I want you to do this quick, okay? Not to think too much, think too fast. At the moment we're just making a list and brainstorm a list. Okay. So what is an achievement at this company that you are proud of? Okay. What is a achievement at a recent company that you're proud of? So if I was have to do this myself, my recent company is BMD. An achievement that I'm proud of was, say, I joined a project up in Bowen on the coal terminal, and it was a really bad project, and everybody wanted to leave, but I ended up being the last person on the job to close it out. And because I spent the time to close it out, the client was happy, and we able to walk away, even though we lost quite a bit of money. So that could be an example of an achievement, not for the company, but for myself. Okay, what is an achievement that you can be proud of at the company that you work for? Just get it down on paper. Just write down just some key details so you know what you're referring to. The next one is failure. What is the failure that you've experienced working at this company? Now, if I were to think about for myself, I joined a road project, which is totally out of my competency. But at that time, there was no other jobs going, and my manager said, "Oh, you could go up and help these guys." And I didn't. I took on a job of relocating a water pipe, but previously all the water pipes was above ground. This one was below ground, and I made a few mistakes, as in I didn't identify some underground services, and that led to a major redesign and cost us a lot of time and money. I would say that's an example of a failure that I had in this company. Okay. What was a difficult challenge you had to overcome? And difficult challenge, difference between the failure is something that you had to work really hard, dig deep, do something a bit different, but had to overcome, and eventually you won. One example for me was being part of a tender, and I was the only guy who could write the construction methodology to build a water treatment plant. I never done that before. So got it done, got it submitted. Lessons. What are some lessons you learn? These lessons could come from a training course you have done, or something you did and you wish you did differently. Lessons learned. Finally, what is the new initiative that you implemented in this company? For me, I implemented a 3D capture of the job site in this company. Something that I was a personal interest of mine. I managed to make contact with the vendor and arranged it to scan the job site that I was working on. At the moment, I'm looking to introducing it to the wider BMD group. Okay, so hope you guys have hopefully just from that little exercise, 5 stories you could talk about now. Okay, now to generate more ideas for your story, you can just pick another company, the company that you worked for before that. Okay, and just apply the same process. All right, what's an achievement that you're proud of in that company? What is a failure? Difficult challenge, lessons. I like to give you more time, but I'm just conscious of getting the rest through to the workshop. But this is something you can do. Again, let's go back to your first job. What was that like? For some of you, might be a while ago, but it is a good story. Ideas to tell. For me, my first job was Shell in Denmark, and it certainly has a lot of good memories for me. Going through this, I can definitely come up with a lot of story ideas. The other thing you can do is if you don't work for any volunteer organizations, you can go through the same process. Yeah, as I said, in university, I worked for ISEC, and when I was in Denmark, I also did some ISEC, and I did some training for people. So I did junior chamber, and I shared a story just before about doing work for Brisbane AI, which has now become Queensland AI. What are some of the achievements, failures, challenges, lessons, new initiatives? And finally, did you go overseas? Was there any overseas experience that you've done? Okay. Again, apply those things. I'll just give you guys just another minute. Hopefully, you're able to generate a list of story ideas. Okay, we'll stop it there. So who's got at least 10 stories on the list? 5 stories? Maybe let me know in too many, Alex. Awesome, Natalia.
In the head or what you've written down?
I think you should write it down.
I'm only at 3. I've got probably 15, 20, but
Yeah. Look, I'll share that. I'll just share that with you. I think you just have to block out some time and really think about it. And yeah, where you want to get to is you have, I always, when I do interview training with people, you need to have at least 5 stories that you can take into a job interview that demonstrate you operating successfully in the job that you want to do, having the traits and overcoming the same challenges, and demonstrating the behaviors and the values that your employers are looking for. So there's something you can do. You can come back to. So what I want you to do right now is choose one story. Okay, choose one story, and we're going to do a bit of a development with this story. And so when you have chosen that one story, can you just type it out in the chat? what is the story? You don't have to type the whole story out, but just do a 1 or 2 sentence description of what that story is. Too many stories, Alec. Where to start? Choose one. You can always come back to it later. Right. Natalia, my stories are too complicated for comprehension. All right. Natalia will help you uncomplicate your story. Okay, first job story where you learn responsibility, communication, being humble, and timing. Good. Gareth, setting up my next role. I do understand the context of that, but yes, that's a good one. Eric, undertook an explore innovation initiative within my company. IoT for well monitoring bores. Awesome. Vu, overcoming a challenge in the workplace. I do know what you're talking about, Vu, and there's a good one. We can do that. Alex, doing things after my level A examination. Alex, this is more we're doing, so we talked about context before. So when we tell a story, we want to choose one to help us achieve an outcome that we want. So if we're talking about job search and career, that could be the outcome is helping you to find your next job. So if you want to find your next job, your hiring manager, what would they want to look for in you? So you want to tell a story that demonstrate you have the traits that what they're looking for. So yeah, so I would say doing things after level A seems like the fun things you want to do after your exams. So I would suggest maybe something at work that you did that help improve situation or where you overcome a challenge. Wong, how I got my current job in the midst when I was offshore in the middle of the pandemic. That would be a good one if you want to be a career coach, Wong. Yeah, but you want to get I understand you want to get another job that meets your level of qualification. So I suggest that you pick one about how you whether it's in your current job now or in your previous job where you demonstrated. If you want to go for project manager type role, talk about some leadership that you've that situation that you were involved in and the impact that you made. Wade, in the last project, we discovered land classification of contamination. Oh, isn't that nice? Nice surprise on any project. I overcame the challenge by altering the design to save huge costs and testing. Amazing. That's a good example, especially when you are looking for a job. A hiring manager, recruiter will be definitely interested to know about that. How do you overcome a challenge? Sunda, Christmas Creek project for Downer achieved project completion despite COVID and resource challenge. Nice. Difficult client. That's always makes for a nice story. Difficult client. Resolve outstanding issue to move the job along. Failure to conduct certain tests led to contractual non-compliance. Lessons learned of better scope management initiative not coming home. Great. Natalia, I have Isaac stories which tells a lot about networking and getting yourself out of the box. Again, I would suggest, what is it that the purpose of your story? Is it to find a job? But yes, networking, if you wanted to show you're not technical, so you're in sales. So yeah, showing how you go around meet people. Yeah, that might be a good one and form relationships. Ruth, stories from TED events in UQ. Nice. Cool. All right. Good. So everybody needs to have one story that they want to take through a bit of a development phase. Okay. At the end of this process, you'll not guarantee you'll be able to speak like Steve Jobs, but you will be able to recognize the elements that you can add into it. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. All right, so we're just going to look at each element and see if you can jot down some ideas for those. Okay. So the first thing about a good story is that it's authentic. Okay. Hopefully that stories that you pick is yours and is something you have personally experienced. So that should be a tick. So write down who are the characters in the story. Yeah, if you're telling it like a career success stories, then obviously you will be the main character. But who are the other people that's in the story that you are interacting with? Just list those down. Next is in this story, the main character, which is you. What is a goal that you're trying to achieve? What is the desired outcome? At the end of the story, what you hope to have done. Okay. So write that down. I'll share my one as I go along. So my story is about implementing the 3D capture into doing the trial in BMD. The characters me. The other characters in the story are the vendors who's helping me a lot to get this technology up and running. It's the business system team in BMD, and of course the other project people that I have to work with. The goal, my hope is able to implement this 3D capture technology in the day-to-day operations of BMD. We're able to generate Google Map walkthrough of the work site over time. And this one is the most important, the conflict. What is the conflict in the story? You say conflict is the most important thing. If you told a story that, oh, I set out to achieve my goal, I did it, done. You know, it wouldn't be a very interesting story, would it? And also, it probably wouldn't be very genuine because, you know, either you've set out to achieve a very, very easy goal, which doesn't really show you in a very good, doesn't actually show you being successful, in a very good way, or you're not really being genuine because anything that's worth doing, you're going to run into some obstacles. So find out what are some of the obstacles that you have run into. So for me, doing a 3D capture, there are many things. One of them is privacy issues. People don't want to be captured, especially when you capture them doing the wrong thing. Other things are, other people have too much things going on. They don't have enough time to deal with another initiative. And three, I have problems on my actual job that I should be dealing with instead of trying to do this other things. So I am afraid of what other people are going to say about me, what their perception of me is. What's the background? So background is you need to set the context. So what has led you to this point? So all the details that make the story make sense. So in Steve Jobs' story, now dropping out of university, for some people may not be that interesting, right? But he went to his backstory where he explained he was adopted and his birth mother wanted to make sure that he was adopted by college educated foster parents, so that he can get a good education and go to university himself. For him to drop out of university is a big deal. So if he didn't talk about that information, then it's not gonna, the story's not gonna be as crucial or make as much sense. So what are some of the background story that you need to background information that you need to supply to add context to your story? For me, doing the 3D capture, my the background story is I actually 2 years before, on my own, I bought my own 3D camera, and I actually tried to do 3D capture myself. It wasn't until the vendor got in touch with me that Silicon Valley has developed this AI algorithm that can do things automatically that make this possible. So the fact that I had the keen interest, I tinker with it myself, is an important detail. Number 6 is consequence. So what? This is asking so what? If you didn't achieve your goal, so what? What's at stake? So for Steve Jobs, if he didn't go to university, the stake would be the disappointing the parents' promise to the birth mother, for example. And he had to live with this growing up, that you must go to university, you must go to university, and dropping out, and then not having a plan, not being able to do anything. It's a big deal. So for me, it is for me, I see this being able to lead an initiative as a way to take my career in a new direction, away from engineering and project management to innovation and digital transformation. So it is a big deal for me that this trial succeeds, because it allows me to open up towards a career path that I'm passionate about. Scene. This is a very important one. A good story will step the listener into the scene as if they were there. Is there a scene in your story that you like to have your listeners step into? So for Steve Jobs, for me, the most powerful one was him. After he dropped out of the classes he didn't want to take, he just voluntarily dropped into the classes that interested him. I could the way he told the story, I could imagine him just sneaking in, or not, you just probably just walk into the lecture room, looking at the lecture about the typography and design, and I could see his face really interested and fascinated. In your story, in that timeline, what are the most important scenes? Describe it so that people can see. So one of the scenes in my story about 3D site capture, it was I was walking around and doing my job, and one of the supervisors asked me, "Hey, what's that thing on your head?" And I went along and described, okay, this is a magnetic attachment. I can put my camera out here. I can capture the whole site. And I described it to him. And he was like, whoa, what would they think of next? That was just one thing. Next one, action. What action did you take to move towards your goal? Now, in job interviews, this is very important because people can tell a story, but they are very interested in what is the action you personally took to influence the outcome. So for Steve Jobs, he after dropping out, he actually made the decision to go and the classes that he enjoyed, and he actually stayed for 18 months before actually dropping out for good. For me, I didn't wait for people to give me permission. I just went and did the trial. I kept people informed what I was doing, and then I took the action of communicating the results of the test and actually sending the link to the 3D walkthrough to my business system people to get them interested. And of course, the outcome, what happened? You start a story, you have a conflict, you have a goal, you have some obstacles that cause conflict. What actually happened in the end? You got to tell people what happened. For Steve Jobs, it's he learned about fonts and fancy typography, and did not have any use in the near term. But when he built the Macintosh computer, he made sure the word processors have beautiful, elegant fonts. And for me, the business systems lead got what I was trying to do, and he also wants to fast track digital engineering initiatives, and saw that I was proactive and able to move these trials along, and he has actually helped me to got me involved in the when he set up the company-wide digital engineering group. He included me in. And I was able to then showcase the technology and what I have done to a wider group in the company. And finally, what was the lesson? What are the key lessons that you learned from the story that you like to share with your audience? And for Steve Jobs, it was, you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect the dots looking backwards. Knowing that it will work out in the end gives you the confidence to pursue the path that you want. The lessons I've learned also from doing this 3D capture trial is you cannot wait for people to give you permission. You have to understand the value you're bringing to your organization when you start doing introducing a new initiative, and trust that people will see it in the end. Okay, I hope you guys have had a chance to write down your story. I'll just give you another 10 seconds to look through this. So how do we all go? Did you have a chance to expand on your story a little bit more? Yes. Who would like to have a go at sharing their story? Come on, don't be shy. This is a place to do it. All right, Wong, good one. Unmute yourself. Let's see what you got.
Hi everybody, just want to share about my story. Yeah, it's actually from my previous company before I came to Australia. Yeah, I'm working. I have worked for this company for nearly 15 years. Such a long time, right? But you know, it's a very normal for Japanese. My previous company is a Japanese company. I got this job from 2005 after graduated. At that time, Japanese want to expand their market to the Southeast Asia area, so they come to Vietnam a lot to just want to, I mean, create companies and looking for new market on my country. And my boss at that time come to Vietnam just to looking for an engineer who can come to Japan and learn their technique, and then after several years come back to Vietnam, open for them a French company. And I was luckily the only one candidate who was chosen and went to Japan and learning there. And I have very interesting journey in Japan at that time. I had 4 years working there with a lot of, unforgettable memory at that time. I was struggling a lot with language and also the culture as the first time too. And the best thing that I have got from that journey is I can learn a lot from the designing knowledge and the way that Japanese working. So I complete 4 years working there, and then I went back to Vietnam and opened for them branch company. It's actually just an designing office with some designers. But yeah, I actually complete the plan as the original plan that they set on me. So I think that's my first goal was complete. And I run that office for 10 years in Vietnam. I hiring people, training them, and also send them back to Japan for learning, and then come back to Vietnam. And the office was open wider with more people on it. And yes, it's also actually my proud and my happiness on work, because yes, I have the next generation who can continue the company know-how, and yes, expanding the market in Vietnam too. Regarding to the background, I gain a lot of experience in designing things, and also 2D and 3D CAD software design, and also the site surveying, working with a lot of customer, and exploring new project in Vietnam and also Thailand. So it's very interesting for me to work on, that career. Yes, and for to me, I think the most interesting thing for a designing engineer is just when you complete your design and waiting for waiting for your design assembly, fabricated assembly and running, and observing the well functioning machine working, and from your old sketch. Yes, it's very interesting and happy. That's why I look at my career is also my passion. Yes.
Very good. Thanks, Bong. I just say thank you. Just
Thank
give
you.
him a hand for sharing and being brave. And
You know, actually, I also got an interview for my new job for a job last week with a very big company from Perth, and they also required me to telling a story about my career part. But you know, I still struggling like today, and maybe I think I failed the interview.
look, first of all, telling a story, stepping up, that is the radio win here. Okay, so this place is here for you to trial and learn and make mistakes, so that when you go out into when it actually matters in an interview, you know what to do.
Yes.
So one thing you do that is common is that it's probably what you've said is probably too high level. Okay, you want to you don't need to tell the whole story of your life. All right, you need to tell one exciting bit of your life, and you wanted to say it in a shorter time. I wasn't timing there, but I think that story, went on for quite a long time. But you want to be very strategic in what you want to say, and for me, the most interesting part of your story was that when you went to Japan, they chose you to go back and open an office in Vietnam. Right, that is a very exciting part, and you should go into a lot more detail about that. Right, and go straight there. You don't need to tell. I went to school, and then I got my first job, and then I got my, and then I went to Japan, and then the exciting part. 3 minutes later, you can say 1-2 sentences at the background information, and then go straight into the exciting part. And the other thing I like about your story, when you talked about how happy you were when you see what is designed on the drawing being fabricated and built, and seeing it functioning, and that is the passion of your work. That is also a very 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 exciting part. So what you can do there is go into a bit more detail. Give an example, right? Example is you say that I like to see something being built and seeing it functioning. For example, I designed what did you design?
Yes.
What was the one thing that you designed and got built?
One of my very interesting projects is I was designing a system which is an automated system which is using in factories manufacturing a lunch box, and I created a line that can carrying the rice cooker, very big rice cooker running around and all doing automatically. Yes, it's when the rice will cook and the sensor will alarm, and like a robot hand comes in and take out and replace and do everything very smoothly, and it's very interesting.
Yes, exactly. Right. Go into it. Go into detail. What did you see? People in the factory. What was the components? What was moving around? What was the smell like? What did it feel like? All of those things, like as if you step them into a movie.
Yes.
Of your story, right?
Yeah.
That is what you want to do. You don't want to go high level and keep things general. That doesn't get people into stepping into your story.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is conflict. You need to talk about conflict to make the story more we used to say dramatic, but that makes it more exciting, right? Conflict doesn't, you don't have to deliberately make it make it dramatic, but when you try to do things, you achieve your goals, you're sure to come across obstacles and challenges. People who want different things from you, or people who saw things differently from you and have a disagreement. That is conflict. And how you work through this conflict, I think, is the detail that you need to develop. When you are talking about opening a new office in Vietnam, you can talk about, what was it like? How did you feel? Did you feel confident, or you're a little bit, oh, well, I got this big important job, a little bit scared. I go there, who were the first hire? What were they like? And were they, was it difficult managing people for you for the first time? All of those, the details is what people are interested in knowing, especially in a job interview. And you can target the stories to show you have the things, you have the skills, experience that the interviewer is looking for.
Yes, got it. Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's say thanks to Bong again for volunteering, and wish you the best for your interview for that job.
Thank you. Maybe I will have the next interview in next week. So yeah, very good lesson from today. Thank you so much.
Very good. So I would have liked to been able to coach you guys through it. I'm sure you guys have lots of different stories, but just that today we don't really have time. Looks like we may run a little bit over time. Is that all right if we go for another half an hour, 20 minutes? Yeah, another half an hour. Is that okay? Yeah. I'll keep going anyway. If you have to leave, feel free to get to where you need to go. So that is the process of coming up with your own stories. You just go through the highlights of your life, and you start with brainstorming, getting a list, and then you just develop them further by looking at those elements of a good story. And the next thing is then practice, right? Practice, and you want to be able to practice so that it becomes an unconscious muscle memory, that you can just do it while you're doing unconsciously while you're doing something else. So I see people needing to jump off at 4, so I can let me just go quickly through the next one, which is how do you engage and captivate people? Just share screen. This is my 3D capture. Doesn't matter. I'll skip that. The first one is I mentioned before. It's about purpose. What you have done in the previous exercise is to generate a whole bunch of stories you can draw from. But when you actually come to tell a story, you want to know what your purpose is. So Bong could be telling his story about starting a new design office in Vietnam in a job interview. Okay. Or he could be telling it in a networking event, or he could be telling a story like Steve Jobs to a graduation class. Depending on the purpose, you're gonna focus on different things. So understanding the purpose is important. And then the other thing is also context. Context is knowing where you're going to be telling your story, when you're going to telling your story, who, how, especially, we talked about in that little feedback, time. How much time do you have to tell a story? And and if we're not prepared and we're not really clear, we tend to go on longer than we have time for. So it's very important to understand the context you're going to be telling your story. Also, in communications, simplicity will always be is the key to messaging. Instead of trying to tell too many stories, you want to have one key idea and communicate that, and have your everything surround communicating that one key idea. Structure is one. Previously when I did my coaching, we talked about like coaching. Interview. We talked about the STAR method that you can use to respond to interview questions. So this is situation, the task, the action you took, and the result. So that's similar to what we've done. So I've sort of moved away from having a fixed structure. Really, a story is you have a start, you have a middle, and you have an end. And if you try to write, and this comes, and if you try to be too rigid in your structure, you're not going to be able to be present in the story. So if anything, you want to know how you want to start and how you finish. Confidence, I'll just run through this quickly because we're running a bit out of time. You need to be confident in the story that you're telling. There is a unwritten rule between the storyteller and the audience. That unconscious rule is that you are telling the truth, and you're telling a story that is true. And the moment people start to think that you are making things up, you're not telling the truth or trying to lie, trying to manipulate me, then you're going to lose your audience. Okay, and one of the ways to be able to project this and maintain this unspoken rule is you have confidence and you have conviction in what you say. And so you have to be confident, and confidence also relate to your purpose. If you have a clear purpose you want to do, you want to achieve out of telling the story, your confidence will come. You want to talk with emotions, and I shared that story with Amy. Me talking in a monotone voice. Things like using tonalities, so having high pitch and low pitch, and going fast, going slow, having pauses in the way you talk conveys emotion. And a advice that I got, which I wasn't sure about before, but I do agree with it now, is that you should speak your story, don't write it down. If you write it down, your story is going to come across very mechanical, and you're just repeating things that you're trying to say. And also, if you memorized, you wrote it down and you memorized it, if somehow something changed, then you're gonna get stuck. So speak it, and then it's about practice over and over again, so that you're able to speak it. Train your almost like muscle memory to be able to tell your story while you're doing something else. Cool. So that is pretty much the end of the content of the storytelling, how to tell stories for your career growth. Can I just ask a question? Did you guys learn something useful today? Yeah, put up your hand if you have. If you learned something about storytelling, I'll be keen to, if you can put into the chat. What is one thing that you've learned that has been been useful for you? Speak your story, Anirudh. Definitely. Vu, do you want to unmute yourself and just have a... Yes, feel free to unmute yourself if you have something you want to say. Gareth, structure. Yes, structure is useful. I think we shouldn't be constrained by structure, and plan it out enough so that you can you know what to say, but let yourself go with the story. Wade, the framework that I can use to reflect my past experiences. Great. Well, focus on what the audience want to hear. You need to be authentic, emotional, speak with confidence, be short. Long stories at networking bore people. Yes. How to engage the audience. Right. Wish I had more time to dive into it, but yeah, just today we don't have the time. Provide structure and framework to content, and content being authentic and realistic.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes.
So how do we engage with audience who we're speaking for the first time? How do we know? How do we know what the audience might be expecting?
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, I'll bring back to the slide. So this is just a summary. So captivating the audience is the same. You're talking to them the first time. You need to understand the purpose, right? What do they want? What do they expect out of this interaction? And you can get that from just knowing where the event is, or you can just simply ask them. Do you hope to? Oh, you're at this event here today. What do you hope to get out of it? Understand what it is. Then you have to structure the story to in accordance to what they want. So yeah, and then again, if you follow those elements of a good story, your story, characters, goals, all of this, they will be interested, and that is just human. That we're used to we are trained to follow stories. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Answer your question?
Yes, I think so. I might need to put a little more work into it, then probably get out a good story on it.
Yep. Cool. Now, yeah. So what we did today was we talked about. Share that screen with you again. Just a bit of a summary. We talked about what makes a good story. Great. Now we listened to Steve Jobs. That's an amazing speech. So I highly recommend you guys, after this, go and listen to the rest of the speech. Every time I listen to it, I always gain a lot of things out of it. So we talked about, what makes a story great. It's authentic. You want to focus on the characters, understand why the characters are important, what's important to them, the goals, most importantly, conflict. What is an obstacle, struggle you have to overcome? Maybe it's other people. Supply enough background stories, consequence, set the scene. Let them step into the scene of your story, what the action you took, and the outcome and the lessons. Okay. And we talk about how do you create your stories. You want to brainstorm. It's a very simple exercise for you, just to brainstorm the different highlights of your career, of your life, and then and like I said, there's no shortcut to it. You just have to block out some time to do that. But think about in each of those milestones, what were the achievements, the failures, a challenge, lessons, and What was the last one? A new initiative that you introduced. And finally, we talked about how to captivate your audience. So once you have your story and you have planned it out with those key elements of a good story, how do you deliver it to the audience? So understand what the purpose of the story is, what the context is. Keep it simple. So you have one key idea, have a structure, and then speak with confidence and conviction. Communicate with emotions. Speak it, don't write it down. Okay, so that is what we covered today, and I hope you gain something out of it. And from what we're seeing from the chat, people, I know this is really good information. This is the information that I wish that I've had. So, but one thing I don't want is that for you guys, as you can see, I'm very, very passionate about storytelling, and mainly because it's not something I'm that good at, but I see where the end point is, and I want to be as good, and I want to gain the skill to get to the next level of my life. So the last thing I want is for you guys to show up to this 2-hour workshop and then think, oh yeah, that's cool, and then go back and to your everyday life, right? And not implement at all. So would it be okay? So I've put together a training course that to help you to get you guys to the next level. One that I wish I had more time to be able to help you guys to go deeper into this. Would it be okay if I show you what I've come up with? And if it's a good fit for you guys, you can sign up for the course. But if if not, if today is good enough and you can take it to implement and develop your stories, then awesome. So would it be okay if I just spend the next sort of 5-10 minutes to tell you what I've come up with? Yeah, cool. Thank you. So I'm pretty excited about this as well. So let me share the screen. So this is the storytelling for career growth. What I'm going to be doing is very shortly, I'm going to be recording all of this into a online digital course. Okay, so it will be videos and it will be online, and it will follow the modules of today's workshop. So going deeper into what makes a good story great. We only had a limited time to help you, bring out your unique stories. I have a few different frameworks to get you to think about what are the stories that are still hidden inside you, and definitely a lot more training on how to engage and captivate your audience. So I'm going to put this all in an online course. You can access the videos and work through it, and there will be a workbook. Okay, so when this is all made, it's going to be charging $297 for that one. Okay. The next thing you're going to get is, because I'm going to be recording, this is actually a unique opportunity. You'll be able to attend this live recording with me as I record it, just like today. And you'll be able to see the course live. And after I record, I'll have a Q&A session, and I'll be able to do some coaching with you to get you to be able to get you better at telling your stories and implementing the things that you've learned. And so this coaching, you have to focus and help you understand, answering your questions. Now that's once in a once this happened, you won't be able to have that again. The other thing I want to do is help you. put you guys into like a 14-day storytelling challenge, because I know what's happened. You learn some good things. You say, oh, I need to write my stories. I need to get it good. And but life just gets in the way, doesn't it? You're too busy. You got something else better, something more important things to do, and you just never get around to it. So I will put together a 14-day challenge. So each day you after you've done the course and you have developed your stories, we're going to get you to tell a story every day, and you will tell a story in different contexts and different situations. So you will get the practice that you need. Also, you'll have the stories done. And how we'll do this is we'll do it in a private Facebook group. So the people who sign up, and we'll get into a group. And Facebook is very good at doing live videos. So what you're going to do is you can go in there each day and you're going to do a live video. And you'll be able to practice your story in a safe place and be able to get feedback from your other participants and from myself. And you will also get the motivation and the support to keep going until you get your 5 stories done. And these stories are important because this will be with you for pretty much the rest of your life. You know, once you have this, you'll be able to use it at any business situations, whether you're applying for a new job, whether you are whether you're going to a networking event, or you introduce to new people, or you know, and most importantly, you'll do this and you'll understand how to do it. And this becomes a skill that you can take for the rest of your life, and you can build even more stories. And you know, imagine if now you have 10, 20 stories you can tell, that you can pull out, and that will instantly make you the most interesting people in the room, and you can command attention and take people along the journey. Whether you are looking to get a new job, whether you're going to get a better job, or you want to go into a new industry, start a business, this will be invaluable. You also get a list of my top storytelling resources. As I said before, I've done a lot of research for this, and you get that. So you don't need to go and Google and spend hours trying to figure out which are the best resources. I'll give that to you. And plus, because I'm not that good of a storyteller, I am really just helping you shorten your learning time by doing the research for you. You're going to have a storytelling masterclass with my wife, Amy Wang. So she's got 20 years as a journalist, and as I mentioned, she's becoming into her creative career, and she is writing her plays at the moment. She's writing 2 plays. One is about a robot, about a mother who has lost her daughter, and the boyfriend builds a robot for her, and the interaction. That's being written into a screenplay, and she's writing another one called, funny enough, Nice Asian Guys. And she's also worked as an actor, so I think she has a lot to share with telling stories, and she's also doing her own training to become a better actor and dancer as well. Lots of things to share from her. You'll get that as well. So if you look at that, it's a value of $2,500. But because you're here today, you're not going to be paying that. And if you join today, it's going to be just $97. Okay, and I don't want price to be an issue for everybody, but the truth is, if you think this is important enough, you'll make the investment. And the people who make, there's a saying that people who pays attention, and they'll go through and finish the work, and most importantly, get the results. So that's what I come up with. And if you are interested and you want to, I've got this site for you. You can scan the QR code. It will take you through a checkout page, or you can click. I'll share that link in the chat in a little bit. Yeah, and I'm really excited about this, and thank you. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Yep. So if you want to just click that with your phone, I'll jump out of this and then paste that into the chat box. So yes, feel free to go over to the site. I just put it in the chat box, and if you have any questions, let me know. Eric, I see your hands up.
Yeah, afternoon, Wei. In terms of the length of the overall course, is this spanning over a month, or what do you foresee the delivery length being?
So two things. It's going to be a digital course, so I'm going to record it, and so you'll be able to work it at your own pace, whenever you want. So you'll have access to a portal. My goal is, you know, follow me, and if you want to attend it live, you can. But the idea is you get the course done within 7 days. You'll understand what it needs to build a story, and then there's a 14-day storytelling challenge, which we'll do in the Facebook group, and we will have different cohorts. So the idea is, I hope that you make this important for you, that you want to get it done quickly and get it so that you have those stories that you can use straight away. So 3 weeks is what I envision. But if you fall behind, you still have the online course available for you to access whenever you want. And then if you can also join in the next cohort for the 14-day challenge, the next people that maybe in the following month.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Cool. Does anybody else have any questions? Could be about the offer, or it could be about what we talked about today. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Anything? Excited to be going out there and start doing some stories, telling stories. Cool. No worries. I'm also available on chat. If you want to get in touch with me, you can, and I'll also share the share the link in the chat with you guys as well. So yeah, if there's no more questions, we will say good afternoon, and I will say thank you for attending, and I hope you got value out of today, and most importantly, you if anything you take it away is stories is where it all starts, getting the right story in your own head, and then getting the stories clear to tell other people, which is the start for your job search and career transition, wherever that next destination is going to be. And happy to help you guys, and just hit me up. So wish you to have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll catch up soon. And we have our career circles next Wednesday. Hope to see some of you guys there too. Okay, thank you very much. See you later.
See you guys. Travel safe.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Bye.
great weekend. Bye.
Well, thank you very much. It was great. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Oh, wait, that's good. Yeah.
Bye.